So yesterday, we obviously had a rather explosive emergency hearing of the January 6th Select Committee where Cassidy Hutchinson, a former aide to Mark Meadows, pretty much gave up the game. She told stories, of course, about how Donald Trump wanted to go to the Capitol for the actual riot, said that he was irate and demanded that they remove the metal detectors so that his armed fans could watch his speech on the ellipse. She told the story of how he, one, attempted to grab the steering wheel of the presidential limo to drive it to the ellipse, and then, of course, put his hands around the neck of a Secret Service agent. She told the story of how one time he got so irate that he threw a plate of food against the wall and she had to clean up ketchup. It was a lot. It was a lot to take in. But the question, of course, is does any of this rise to the level of criminal behavior, right? Because if these are just stories about, hey, look how crazy and unhinged Donald Trump is, we appreciate it, but that's not going to put him behind bars. So does any of this at all rise to the level of criminal behavior? Some legal experts say yes, 100%. And of course, the biggest crime that they say these actions that were revealed by Cassidy Hutchinson reveal is seditious conspiracy. Actively encouraging these individuals that did have these weapons to come in, encouraging people to storm the Capitol or at least even go to the Capitol with weapons, that could easily result in a charge of seditious conspiracy against the United States. One legal expert has gone even further. In addition to seditious conspiracy, he also says that you could have interfering with congressional proceedings, basically interrupting the electoral vote certification. Donald Trump, by encouraging people to go there, could be charged with that. Defrauding the U.S., of course, with all the claims of voter fraud. Seditious conspiracy, as I mentioned. Assaulting a Secret Service agent. That's illegal, by the way. You can't do that. It's kind of like a police officer. You can't put your hands around their throats. And I'll get more to that in just a minute. And then, of course, inciting a riot. But here's the thing. The Secret Service has come out and said, nope, none of this is true. Donald Trump did not lunge for the steering wheel. And they were very particular in saying that he did not lunge for the steering wheel. So I think the language they chose there is rather telling. It's not technically a lie if he didn't lunge at the steering wheel, even if he grabbed for it. If they say he didn't lunge for it, they're not technically lying. And then, of course, they say he never put his hands around the throat of a Secret Service agent. So we have conflicting stories, of course. Although Hutchinson was, in fact, under oath, these Secret Service agents that have come out are not. Of course, they have offered, and I hope they do take them up on that offer. If this testimony is not true, we need to know that. But here's an interesting point made by Bo of the Fifth Column. He mentioned on Twitter that it is the job of a Secret Service agent not just to protect the president, but to protect the presidency. Basically, they have to protect the reputation as well. So if they believe, obviously, that Donald Trump's reputation is going to be harmed by this new information, then it would be within their duties, of course, to come out and say that, no, none of this is true. None of this ever happened. So we'll see what happens with that. Of course, they are being very adamant about the fact that at least that part of the story is not true. But to me, that part of the story is rather minor anyway. I hope Hutchinson is not lying about that, because if she is, obviously it calls into question everything else that she has said. So, we have that to deal with. That is a matter that does have to be straightened out. Right now, it's, she said, they said. And we need to figure out where the truth lies so we can figure out if we can, trust the rest of Hutchinson's testimony. Excuse me, I'm having a rough morning, folks. But either way, this information was, in fact, explosive. Hutchinson was, of course, the star witness they were calling in for this emergency hearing, and she didn't disappoint. It is clear at this point that Donald Trump has engaged in behavior that is not only unbecoming of a president of the United States, but that some of it could in fact be illegal. And as these committee hearings continue, it's only going to put more pressure on Merrick Garland to finally step up and charge Donald Trump.
This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos, so do us a favor and subscribe.